Hello chess friends and welcome to Azarov's chess channel and welcome to my Magnus Carlsen versus Fabiano Caruana series. So today of course we got the game 12 in the World Championship match between the two of them, and again we got a draw. So the result is now 6-6, and now we go into this rapid games. First four rapid games will be played by the two of them, and if we still haven't got a winner, then we get two blitz games. Each of them will play with white and black pieces. So and if the blitz games after 10 games also end in a draw, then we get this Armageddon match in which white will have 5 minutes and black will have only 4 minutes on the clock. So of course if black in this Armageddon match manages to get a draw, he will be the next world champion. So I think Magnus Carlsen is of course the top favorite in this rapid or blitz games, because he is ranked in all of these criteria. He is the number one in rapid and blitz games. So Caruana is only ranked at the place 18. So of course Magnus Carlsen is the top favorite, but you saw Caruana had his chances in this long games, and of course we'll see what will happen. So today it was again this Lasker variation that we saw, and I think Magnus Carlsen get out very easily in this new line that he chose against this very nice attack by Caruana. So let's see the game. We had here e4, c5, knight on f3, knight on c6, d4, c takes d, knight takes d, and now knight on f6, knight on c3, this for knights variation, and now e5, again knight on b5, d6 of course, and now we have again knight on d5 by Caruana, knight takes on d5, and e takes d5. Here in the previous games Magnus Carlsen played knight on b8, and then after that knight on d7. Here he chose here knight on e7, and well, this knight on e7, well, it has I think it's a better move, because you can play then on g6, and then you have preparations here to play f5, but with this knight on g6 it's also attackable, it's vulnerable for your opponent's attack. So we have here c4 by Caruana again, and now knight on g6. Now queen on a4. So of course the threat is here the discovered attack on the king. So that's why bishop on d7 was played by Carlsen. You see queen on d7 isn't good, because you get knight on c7, and you get the fork on the king and the rook, and you can attack of course with the queen, because it's pinned on the king. So this is now the sort of a positional threat. Here we have bishop on d7 by Carlsen, and now queen on b4, attacking this d6 pawn. Of course Carlsen plays here bishop on f5, protecting it, and now we have h4. So here Carlsen played sort of a novelty in this line. He played here the move h5, and he, of course, you see this knight is a little bit awkward here, but it has a good defensive function if you want to stay with your king here in the center. And of course we have also created here this possibility to attack this h4 pawn. So this is now a really dynamic game, because with h4 and h5 black and white have already created weaknesses around the king. So of course we will see on which side they'll castle. So now we have this again queen on a4 by Caruana, again with the threat to play the discovered attack on the king. So again bishop on d7, we have queen on b4, and again bishop on f5 by Carlsen, and here Caruana played bishop on e3. He didn't want to repeat the moves, because if the moves of course repeat 3 times, then it will be a draw. So here he played bishop on e3, but there's one move that I liked more. Here maybe instead of bishop on e3, to play bishop on g5. So of course bishop on e7 doesn't work because you simply take the bishop, which is the defender of this d6, and there is this function of this bishop on g5. Well, why black will be forced here to play the move f6, and okay, then you can again play bishop on e3, but you see you have more weakened here this king side, and now it's really hard for black to create to castle here, because he has already this light square problems, and from a strategical point of the game, you would have to get rid maybe of this protector of the light squares, maybe to get rid of this light square bishop and continue the game and try to attack black on this light square. So I think this line would be maybe better. It could lead maybe after a6 into knight on c3, queen on c7, and then maybe knight on a4, and here black would be forced to go with this king on f7. But with this still flexible pawn structure, I think with f3 and g3, bishop to e2, and maybe rook on f1, you are it's possible here to attack somehow the king on the f file, and with this king on f7, it's hard for black here to connect the rooks, and I think this would be a better line for white. So here after bishop on e3, as was played in the game, Carlsen played a6, and we have here knight on c3, queen on c7, of course preventing here this potential c5 move, and now Caruana played g3. Again, you see this g3, it's preparation with f3 to create this flexible position and try to attack maybe here and try a pawn breakthrough with the moves as g4. And instead of g3, knight on a4, well, it seems that black has here this dark square problems here on c5 and b6, but you can simply go bishop on e7, and after knight on b6, rook on d8, and after knight on a4 again, with the preparation to play maybe bishop on b6, you can simply go rook on c8, and that's really not a problem. So again, if knight on b6, then you can again do this perpetual move. So Caruana, of course, didn't want to do that. He played the move g3, and this is now, he sort of showed his cards here with this g3 and h4. Well, it's not the thing that he's gonna castle here on the king side. So with this g3 and h4, he created already this king side attack with, of course, as I said, preparations with bishop on e2, and maybe trying to get the rook on the g file. Well, it's obvious that he's not gonna castle on the king side. Maybe he could have stayed here even in the center, but of course it's obvious, as I said, he's not gonna castle while creating already these weaknesses around his king. So that's why after g3, bishop on e7, we have here f3. Now Carlsen finds a very nice move, knight on f8, which is the best move. It's sort of a computer move here, because after knight on e4, here he plays knight on d7 and prevents again this potential c5 move, which is important, and which was really subject in their game 8, and in which Caruana had really winning chances. So with the c5 possibilities, he get this d5 mobile, and he could have created a very nice attack against Magnus Carlsen. So here again, knight on d7, preventing this very annoying c5 idea. So now we have bishop on d3. The threat is, of course, maybe knight on f6 and taking the bishop. So Carlsen castled, but now after this knight on f6, well, it would lead maybe bishop to f6, and then bishop on f5, and then you get e4. So e4 would be really opening the king. the king side here, because we are of course with this endangered king, which is not castle so far. We of course want to try to open the e-file, so this e4 idea would be deadly for white, because he would be forced maybe to castle on this weakened side, and then after e takes f3, this would be not a good position, because after maybe rook on f3 you get here this knight, very nice centralized on the square e5, and from a positional point of view of course of the chess game, this you see this knight, it's basically unattackable. You can only get rid of it while giving up your bishop here, maybe through d4, and then take it on e5. But again, you see, then you get bishop on e5, and with this weakened position around the king, this bishop would be also not attackable on the square e5, which will be a huge positional advantage for black. So this line wouldn't be good, of course, for Caruana. That's why after castling he played here rook on h2, and this again rook lift, this early rook lift. I really love this rook lifts in a chess game. I admire them. When I see a rook lift, I don't know, it's something special for me. I don't know why. You see, this rook lift has a double function. Of course, it can go maybe through the g file as an attacking piece, but of course it can go also on c2 and serve as a defensive piece. So very flexible play by Caruana and by Carlsen, and this is now really dynamic game in the middle game. And again, I'm pointing you out this knight on f6 is not good, because you get bishop on f6 and you solve the problem. So it's with this rook on h2, Caruana again sort of showed his cards, and it's now obvious that he's gonna castle queenside. He's not gonna stay with his king in the center, because you see, possibilities are for black here to play bishop on g6 and then play f5, f4 ideas, and try to break through here. So of course this king in the center works sometimes, but in this position not anymore. So Caruana has to castle queenside, but as I said, he was use this rook as a defensive piece here on c2. So here we have rook from a to c8, now queenside castling. Well, b5 isn't so dangerous, because you can get out and here maybe play the move king on b1, and then after that maybe bishop on e2, and this would be really stopping black's attack on the king. So as I said, again, this rook covers the second rank, and it's perfectly playable. So here Carlsen plays bishop on g6 with this obvious preparation to play the move f5. So we have here rook on c2 and now f5. Caruana played here the correct move, knight on f2. You see, knight on c3 would be really dangerous, because you get e5, e4 immediately. So if you take, then you get knight on e5 with an attack on the bishop, and maybe after bishop on f4, well, this bishop could be taken, and this would be after rook on d4. Here with Carlsen would have maybe a rook sacrifice with rook on f4. If of course g takes f4, then you get bishop on f6, and these two bishops aiming here on this castle king, with possibilities now to play the move b5. This would be a really deadly attack against white's king. So here in the continuation you get even e3. So this bishops would really working fine here. So that's why after knight on f2, of course Caruana tries another way to play with his knight. Now we have knight on c5. So Carlsen kicked away this knight, and he fixed his knight here on c5, which is now well, it's hard for white to take the knight on c5 immediately, because black has still possibilities to play e5 and try to develop the bishop through this f square on this diagonal, although this bishop would be blocked by its own pawn on c5, but as I said, it could go here on this better diagonal into the game, and again with this flexible idea to play b5, really open this b file for the potential rook attack, and with this bishop on f6 this would be really deadly. So of course Caruana saw that, but here he kind of made a mistake. He played here the move f4, and here Carlsen could have maybe taken immediately this e takes f4. After bishop takes on f4, well, then maybe to play the move b5. Then if the queen goes maybe to a3, you get bishop on f6, and well, I think this is maybe a better line. Maybe after bishop on e2, okay, here the attack can be stopped, but again we have ideas maybe to play knight on d3 and somehow open the position. So I don't know, I love this position a little bit more, because it really has this potential attacks here on the b file and the c file with the rooks. So after f4, Carlsen played here e5, a5. So this immediately b5, well, then you get bishop on c5. That's the problem now, because after d takes c5, then you get queen on d2, and here he could of course bishop takes on h4 is a possibility, but if you take here this pawn, you will simply get bishop on c4, and this would really be a nice blockade. Well, black would be forced to play maybe here on the blockade with bishop on d6, and then Caruana has maybe possibilities to go on the attack on the g file. So you see, this is not something that Carlsen wanted, of course. So here after f4 he played a5, and now he kicked away the queen. We have here queen on d2, and now this e4 move, very nice. He gained some space on the 4th rank, and we have bishop on e2, bishop on e8. So now Carlsen really transposed this bishop on this better diagonal, and here is, well, this threat to play bishop on a4 and attack both of the rooks. But after king on b1, well, bishop on a4 leads to b3, and you basically forced to kick away the bishop again on the square e8. And now this a4 idea, well, it doesn't lead to anything, because you will get then b4, and you still have the possibility to compete with this bishop with the bishop on d4. So okay, this maybe would have been a better line for Carlsen, but it's still hard to open some files here. Of course, you with this opposite side attacks, you want to open somehow the position, and well, it's the problem that white has a very nice pawn structure, and although he has problems here on the dark square, we still haven't we didn't give up our bishop here, of course, and it can compete on this d4 square. So here we have rook, instead of that, rook on e1, pardon me, after king on b1, here Carlsen played first the move bishop on f6, and his idea is here to play a4 and then a3 and really open now the diagonal. So Caruana answered with rook on e1, and here Carlsen plays a4, and now we have queen on b4. So of course now a3, well, it isn't so good, because you get queen and takes on a3, and the rooks are still not connected. Again, we have possibilities to play rook on d1 and trade the bishops. So here Carlsen played g6, and we have rook on d1, again playing on the possibility to trade this very dangerous bishop on f6. And here we have by Carlsen rook on a8, and this is the position in which Carlsen offered Caruana a draw, and they both agreed to a draw. I don't know, I like here Black's position much more, because he has well, at least possibilities to create here an attack, to open somehow the a file. But of course the attack has to be prepared, maybe with moves as bishop on d7. So let's see about potential continuation. If knight on h3, then this a3 doesn't work, because you will get here b3. And if you try somehow with the rook, well, it's not so easy, because you will get knight on g4 and knight on e6, which will be really challenging this knight on c5. And with this diagonal here, we have possibilities to play against this rook on b6. So again, I'm pointing out, again, we have maybe this idea to play bishop on d4, but in this line, instead of knight on h3, well, it's dangerous to play here bishop on d4 immediately, because you will get the knight on d3. And of course, if you take, well, Black will simply take here this bishop on d4, and we'll continue the game with this dangerous, really dangerous dark square bishop. So of course, with this bishop pair, white will be really endangered here. So and in this line, if you try something as queen on b6, then you get simply queen on, takes on b6, bishop takes on b6, and you can play here knight on b4, which really now challenges the rook. And then after maybe rook here, then you get a3. So here after b3, the rook would be trapped. Or the other possibilities, if you like this more positional approach, you can play also here this move knight on c5. If bishop takes, again, we have possibilities to create here with this b5 some open files on the b and a file, again with preparations, maybe with moves as a3. So as I said, they agreed to a draw. I think Black maybe had here chances, maybe trying rook on a6, and then with bishop on d7 try this other rook also into the game. Well, multiple possibilities now, but I think after 12 really tough draws, they wanted just to rest a little bit and try to prepare themselves for this rapid and blitz games, which are in 2 days. And I'm really looking forward for this rapid and blitz games, because of course we see these games, these 12 games, these 12 draws were really a perfection, but I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for a little bit mistakes. I'm looking for some dangerous attacks. I'm looking for checkmate threats and stuff like that. I'm looking for rook sacrifices, queen sacrifices, and I hope we'll get to see that in this faster games. So thanks you for watching, guys. You can watch my previous Magnus Carlsen versus Fabiano Caruana videos, and you can also watch my best chess games of all time series if you want to see some more dynamic or some games with some winning endings. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best.